Welcome, one and all. Today is, what is the date today, Chad?
The 29th.
Thank you. 2 days before Halloween. Today is October 29th, 2015, and this is Mastermind call number 49. So, wow, we'll have to do something special for the 50th call next week. I'm not sure what, but thank you all for being, what's that?
52 will be our 1 year mark.
Yeah, exactly. We're coming up on that. We still have people signing on, so I appreciate all you guys that are still signing on. Just a reminder, guys, when this got to about 75, 80 people, we had to mute everybody out. It was just like a circus every week. So you're muted out now, but anytime you have a question, comment, you want to say anything, just hit *6 and then hit 1. And please give us some questions. We've got a really good turnout today. We don't like to just hear ourselves talk. I guess we'll start off with Tim. Tim, any news from headquarters that you want to share with the group?
You mean from the very top of the mountain?
Okay, if you say so.
No, things are going well. We think on the last couple of calls we briefly touched on the fact that we're continuing to work on the addition of new data sources, and we are beginning to gather the first round of upfront data collection on divorce and making sure that we can put it out correctly and do the things we need to go do. So we're doing some test gathering to begin with and having our researchers out getting that during this week and next week. As soon as we have that in and put it through our processing engine and see what we end up with content, we'll be about ready to get that out the door, and that's something that we've talked about for a couple of times. The same thing is also true in regard to emails. We sent a test group of name, address, city, state, zip, and phone number through our new email augmentation process, and we got data back from that, and we've sent some test emails out to that to see what kind of results we get there. So we're continuing to move forward with that, and as soon as we have more information, we'll let you know, but we're hard at work.
Excellent. Perfect. And you guys have probably heard this before. I've been sharing with all of you for the last few months that divorce is going to be our next data source, and it appears in most markets that there are significantly more, as much as twice as many divorce leads as probate leads. And I said that to one of you one time, and you said, well, of course, you can only die once. So that made me chuckle, and it's still true. Some people get divorced more than one time. So, but like probate. We felt like probate was the lowest hanging fruit, but divorce is pretty close. And we're going to get you just as much information on divorce as we are on probate. And there'll probably be more sources. You're going to have two spouses, and you're going to have two set of attorneys. So should be a lot more.
Well, the one thing, and the one thing that's clear on divorce is that while in probate, someone may still be occupying the house and it may not be changing hands, you know that at least in a divorce case, in 99.9% of the cases, somebody's moving somewhere, and so at least you know that there is a transition, and that's really what. If you kind of look at what we do online, we talk about the fact that we're trying to provide you with transitional leads, people who are in transition who are going to need to seek new housing and need to potentially sell the house that they're in. And that's what we're trying to provide, is people who are at that point of transition that generates financial opportunity for you and the ability, more importantly, to help them, get through rough spots in their lives.
Very well said, yep. And with a divorce, obviously, there will be times when there will be a listing and two buyer sales out of it. So it has the potential for multiple transactions. If anyone has a win they want to share with us, please hit *6 and then hit 1 now. I was hoping Bill Bird would be on the call, but I think he had another appointment that conflicted with this. He's probably off taking another $1 million listing. Chad, you had a good conversation with Bill this week. Would you kind of share the scope of that? Bill, for those of you that don't know, when we were featured a couple months ago in the Wall Street Journal, Bill was an agent that was quoted in there. The first lead we gave him, he took a $1.4 million listing that sold right away. And what I really admire about Bill is that he has hung in there. He's an extremely competitive market, and he hasn't done, dozens and dozens of sales, but he's better than probably anybody who works this system, he really cultivates the leads, and he squeezes a lot out of the leads that he gets. And he had shared with me, Chad, I think he said in the last 10 days he's set 9 new appointments. Is that what he shared with you?
Yeah. So Bill he's been trying probate for 2 years, and the hardest part was obviously getting the data and getting good information, getting people to call you back. And I think in 2 years he had done a couple of deals, kind of the blind squirrel finds a nut type strategy. But once he found us, he signed up. I will mention too, he only gets around 15 leads a month in his area because he's in an area where living trusts are very common. And if you have a living trust, you don't have to probate your will. So it's 15 a month. He's getting ready. He has a surgery coming up, and he's trying to get all of his business lined up and get as many things done as he can because he's going to be down for a while. And he's been able to get 9 listing appointments in the last week and a half from November 1st through the end of the month. He's got 9 probate appointments set up, and he's typically taken about probably over 90% of his appointments he's taken listings. And he did probate mastery one-on-one with me. We have tweaked his letters. We've customized his letters. What we found is, our letters didn't work in his market because he's in it's a different demographic. So we looked at his letters and tried different things until we found something that did resonate with the culture in his area. So once we did that, and he kind of changed what he said on the phone calls, and he started hitting it out of the park. And I mean, 9 listings out of 15 leads is phenomenal. And so the point there, the point that I took away from that is if something's not working, then change something change your approach, because we know this works. It works in rural markets. It works in metro markets. If you're not getting the response you think you should be getting or that you hear other people getting, get more personal. Personalize the letter. Change your the first paragraph, the last paragraph. Change your phone message until you find what does work. And one thing Jim said, Bill stuck with it. He hit one out of the park right out of the gate, but he hasn't listed 9 houses every month. But he looks at this as a long-term a long-term campaign. And I think anyone who's part of this or thinking about it, you should look at it at a minimum at a 90-day window and say, all right, what's this going to cost me for a quarter, to market, for 3 months, and how much did I get from that? And I think if you do the things we teach and just kind of follow the direction, if you have trouble, if you raise your hand, you will definitely make good money in that 90-day period. Everybody that has done that, and Bill's one of our best examples. So
one thing he shared with me, Chad, I don't think all 9 of them came from the most recent group of 15 leads. He was telling me that his leads, for whatever reason, he really, really works them, and sometimes it'll be the 4th, 5th, 6th, 10th conversation before the people are finally ready. So I think he has done a masterful job with the lead follow-up. And anyway, I'm going to have him come on a future call. I was hoping he could be here today and answer questions for all of you.
His market's extremely tough because it's that Silicon Valley area. So people are just constantly hammered with solicitations on everything. So it's a lot harder it's a lot more competitive there than it is in 90% of markets in our country. So that's why we worked on his letters and worked on the way he was pitching it and stuff, and he's figured it out. I mean, it's almost, I don't want to say it's easy. He's still working hard, but it's definitely he found what works.
Speaking of raising your hands, somebody must have a question. Please hit *6 and hit 1. We've got a tremendous turnout. Question, comment, anything anybody wants to share with the group? It's *6.
Hey, Jim, the other thing I'd say about the letters themselves, be aware that with our Mailbox Motivator program, you have the ability to change those letters in any way that you want. So as Chad mentioned, if you go in and you do a series of mailings and you're not happy with the response that's there, take a look at those letters and feel free to send us a note and say, hey, what do you think might change? Here's what I'm finding, or whatever. We'll be happy to work with you to work on the content and make sure that it's honed for your marketplace. And like Chad said, we give them to you as an example to use, and if you're using our service, we certainly want you to customize it to fit your unique needs. We've seen some people do some very creative approaches in their mailing, and some people just use them as is and are delighted with the results. But in every case, we want to work with you to make sure that we get this right for you in your marketplace. This isn't just a place where you get leads from us and we let you go and hope for the best. We really, really are dedicated to make it work for you.
Excellent. Thank you. Steve Rice has volunteered to ask his question that stumped me earlier. I'm gonna let him. And please, guys, more questions. We don't want to talk for a half hour. Hit *6 and hit 1 if anybody else has anything you need help with. Steve, you are up, sir. Thank you for volunteering.
Oh, my pleasure, Jim. So a CRM is a customer relationship management program. That's what the acronym's for.
Okay. My partners knew that, but I didn't.
Okay. Well, the one of the things that I'm doing is I'm working with this group that's developing a CRM that marries the lender with the realtor, and then when they market together, they're in RESPA compliance. So when I was listening to this business opportunity that you contacted me about, one of the things that kind of struck me is, we do property management as well, and these are the kind of things that lenders are looking to develop relationships with realtors to do. They need to get money out there. They need to make loans. They want to access buyers. They want to work with investors. So what they've got is they've got the platform. So you were talking about mailings and things like this. It would be kind of neat to marry what you're doing with this company and work, those of us that have lender partners that we're doing this, is like go to your lender and say, hey, would you like to partner up with alltheleads.com and this marketing platform and help me cover the cost of this?
Yeah,
yeah,
great.
And we definitely have subscribers that do that. Some of our team leaders that we have, their lenders will subsidize or pay for their leads. So yeah.
Well, then again, with this, and everybody's under this microscope on the lending side, and even our escrow companies and title companies. But to be able to do that in a way that you're marketing to the end user, sharing that cost, but doing it within compliance, I think that's again, one of those things that we just want to be ahead of the curve.
Hey, Steve, I'm sorry. Go ahead, bud.
No. I've just got to throw that out there, and then I'll let you guys talk about it. But I think you've got to, just new to this, your system. I think you've got a great one. It's good.
Well, that's awesome. Awesome for you to say. And also, we partner with a bunch of people that we push data back and forth to now. There are a number of people that we really have already developed physical, what are called API interfaces, which means that we seamlessly push data into dialer programs and other folks like that we work with. And we'd be delighted to chat with these folks. If you'll get us some info on them, we'll be delighted to, talk with them and see if there's a way that we can embed what we're doing, embed what they're doing, or, make sure that we talk back and forth. And that's the beauty of continuing to put this on autopilot, is that if you find other systems that work, because of the fact that we're the data company as well, we're happy to work on interfaces to make things like that work. So please make an introduction for us. We'll be glad to talk to them.
I love it.
Yeah, I was just going to say, we automatically, Steve, if we get an investor, we tell them the first thing you got to do is find a realtor. One of the first things we tell the realtor, you got to find an investor, and it's a very similar relationship with the lender. So, and that's wonderful if they have plugged all those compliance and RESPA holes. So, yeah, it's something we'd definitely be interested in pursuing, and I appreciate you bringing it to our attention.
Well, one of the that you brought up, and I think that's of huge value, and you're talking about customizing the print collateral, the letters and things that you sent out. One of the things that I'm sure you would like to see is that you could advocate to the people that you're contacting to get into this program is, here's what we can get you for a return on investment, and use the system. So when you have a contact that goes into the database, the realtor and the lender are looking at it. Collectively, they're marketing to those particular homeowner, whatever the resource is that we put into the database with your print collateral. So I see a lot of opportunity there.
Cool. Sounds great to us.
Yeah, appreciate it. Really appreciate it, Steve. Thank you. Let's talk. We don't want to take up everybody's time, but let's talk today, tomorrow, whatever's good for you. We'll all get together and discuss it further. I appreciate you bringing it to us.
My pleasure.
All right, bud. Welcome to the group. And we do have another question. Thank you very much. Again, guys, we got another 10 minutes here, so we need about 2 or 3 more good questions. Area code 650, you're up.
Hi, my name's Paul Dyson. I'm new to your system. I had a question.
Hey, Paul, we can barely hear you. Can you turn up your volume a bit?
Sure. Okay. How's that? Is that better?
Much better. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, my name's Paul Dyson. I'm new to the system. I have a question. It appears that everyone's doing a lot of letters, so are we not able to get in contact by telephone with the person handling the estate, or what's the normal course of operation for?
No, you get. Paul, have you gotten your first set of data yet, Paul, or not?
No, I haven't.
Okay, you get the name, address of the executor and the attorney, and we also supplement it with up to 5 phone numbers for the executor. So you do get phone numbers. And we just had Bill Bird, as a matter of fact, commented yesterday that he's getting over a 80% hit rate on his phone numbers, which is phenomenal. So I think we do as good a job with that as anybody out there. But no matter how hard we try, we aren't going to get phone numbers for 100% of the people. That's one of the reasons that we strongly suggest that you send a letter also. That way you get 100% coverage. The other reason, and my partners probably have comments to add, my own experience has been one of the advantages of sending a letter. There will be a percentage of people that just aren't ready yet. They'll take your letter, they'll put it away in a file, and you'll get a call 6, 9 months, a year later. So we feel like there's an advantage of getting something in writing to them, especially for the ones that aren't quite ready, but we strongly recommend that you also follow up with phone calls. Chad, do you have anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, I was telling a story this morning. So I had one of the direct mail pieces that I had, one of the few return to senders that I had ever gotten. And it didn't even occur to me. I'd pinned it on a board beside of my desk just as a sample letter that I had sent. And I pulled it down this morning to show it to one of my agents. And when I looked, it was a probate client who we had listed and sold her home. And I didn't even know until today that she had never gotten any mail from us. So making the phone call she responded to the phone call, and it's been so long ago I forgot if must not even ask her if she received the mail. And there's plenty of people who have never returned a phone call, and they'll call me 3, 4, 5 months down the line and say, hey, I've had this letter sitting on the table, and I'm just I got to do something. So it's about different touches, and we know that 80% of sales, business transactions will happen between touch 5 and touch 12 in marketing. That's just a known statistic. So the more you can do, the better. The more types of marketing you can put out there, the better chance you have. So we recommend at a bare minimum that you do 3 direct mail pieces, and typically most folks are going to space those out 30 days, so you can cover an entire quarter. And then in between there, do your phone calls. And what I do in my office is letter, and then I follow that a couple days later with a phone call. And then I wait until the next month, letter, and then follow the phone call. Some people are a lot more aggressive than I am. The great thing about phone calls is they're way cheaper than direct mail. So you can send 3 letters and make 6 phone calls. You just have to kind of find your stride and what works for you. But as long as your offer is good and you're not being a pushy salesperson, you know, the more touches, the better. The more value you can provide to them, the better. Excuse me.
And then we got people like one of our most successful agents in Florida, Paul Hayhurst, has never picked up the phone. For some reason, his mail works great. We don't recommend that, but
and he only sends one letter.
He only sends one letter. Now, one thing brilliant that Paul did, and I think we've shared this with you before, Paul, he sent out 150 letters. He got 5 listings. He noticed that 2 of the listings had the same probate attorney. So he picked up the phone to the attorney and said that, hey, I notice you specialize in probate, so do I. Do you have a go-to agent that you recommend? He made friends with that attorney. Now he's getting a lead or 2 a month from the attorney in addition to the responses from the letters. So, you know, we recommend you try both and see what works the best. And the agents that are we do have agents that just send letters that do great. We had those people in South Carolina that didn't want to waste postage. They got on the phone and set 20 appointments by phone. So they both work, but a combination of the 2, I think, gives you the best opportunity to get 100% coverage, you know, and to benefit, you know, to reach everybody out there. So there's no bad way to contact someone, and typically the more the better. Does that answer your question? You still there?
Yes, I think yes. That was somewhat. I'm getting an idea of how everyone works on doing this.
Yeah, I mean, are you? Go ahead.
I was going to ask, have you watched the fast track videos in the subscriber resources area?
Yes, I have.
Okay.
Yeah, if any of you haven't, that's a great place to start. But you don't sound convinced, is it? Are you reluctant to send mail? It sounds like you're a prolific prospector. You like to pick up the phone and make calls?
I worked with attorneys for 10 years.
Okay, so good.
I know you know, especially in probate and estate planning, is they certainly the decision makers and the one handling a lot of the work. They're making court appearances and everything else. So they probably have assistants and people in the back office that are directing some of the decision making processes. So I was just curious as to what the responses were on some of the mailings.
Well, that's one of the reasons we recommend you reach out to the executor first. You don't need the attorney's permission for the executor to list with you. After you've gotten a listing, reach out to the attorney. And another way you can work the data, Paul, is if you're getting, how many leads are you getting in your market? How many did we anticipate in a month?
I think it was 35. I think is the.
All right. So when you get your first batch of 35 leads, you're probably going to notice 4 or 5 attorneys that are doing most of them, and that's a really good way to identify who the players are in as far as the attorneys go. And if you're going to do a campaign for attorneys, those are the ones that I would target, because you know you'll be able to tell who is doing multiple deals and go after those. But you don't need those attorneys' permission. Typically, the attorney kind of stays out of picking the realtor. They don't want any feedback if they make a bad recommendation. So for the most part, you don't really need the attorney to get that property listed. I'd let the property listed first, and then phase 2 start contacting the attorneys.
Well, the other thing is, Jim, we give you, Paul, we give you as many as 5 phone numbers so that you absolutely can reach that personal representative, executor, executrix for the estate, so that we give you lots of ability to do it, because we want you to make that phone call, and we run it through multiple different approaches to pull that data out. So we're trying to give you the very best possible opportunity to get in touch with them, not just by mail, but also by phone. And if you'll notice when you get your leads, and we also show you this online, if you look at how we present this, you get 5 different columns of phone numbers, and we try to populate them all if it's possible to do it. We start with trying to pull it directly from that person and off the court record, and then we augment that with as much information as we can about anything that's referenced to that. If they have another number listed, if there's a work phone listed, if there's a relative listed, we do everything we can to try to give you great ability to contact those people.
Okay, yeah, I understand that.
All right, excellent. We have another question, and we're running out of time. Thank you for the questions, Paul. Appreciate it. Area code 817, you're up.
Hi, guys. This is Diane Grove with the Grove team at Keller Williams in Texas.
Diane. Every week you are last question. You have good questions, and you're very patient, so fire away.
That's one of my strong points. Just a quick question. I've done a lot of personal prospecting over the phone over the years, and I've never ever left a message because they never ever call back. But I was wondering, I was thinking about the calls that you guys make electronically or automatically, and those are all messages. So do you actually recommend we leave a message as long as we know we have the right person?
I do, and I think you're right. Not everybody returns voicemail, but there's certain things you can do. You want to leave them curious. So if you can leave a vague enough voicemail. Hi, this is Diane. I sent you a letter last week, and I was just calling today to make sure you got that and understood why I sent it. Give me a call back, 567-9899. And they're going to be thinking, well, who is Diane, and what letter is she talking about, and what is this about? And the whole point of that is to just get the phone to ring. And maybe they'll be adversarial, maybe they'll be a little rash on the front, but that's your job to use your patience, your virtue, and get control of the conversation and say, well, thanks so much for calling. Is there a home that you guys have in the estate that you could use some help with? And just start the conversation. So I think absolutely, if you're going to make the calls, either take 5 seconds on each one to leave a voicemail, or 10 seconds, or set up a ringless voicemail and just drop them all at once. But yeah, I've gotten pretty much all of my listings that have come by phone have been from voicemails, not outbound dials.
Okay. Well, we'll try that then. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. Diane might be the last. We're just about at the half hour. Does anybody else have a pressing question? *6 and hit 1, or should we let you all get back to work? Looks like Diane, you are once again finishing out the questions for the week, so thank you. Guys, I really appreciate you taking the time to be here today. Good turnout, good questions. I always end these calls by challenging you to take one idea, one inspiration, one nugget you got from this call, take it out and put it into practice, and come back next Thursday and share your success with us. Thank you so much, guys. Make it a great week. You know where to find us if you need us. Take care.